Here to make their case on who is responsible for the healthcare misinformation are Sam Jacobs, political reporter of thedailybeast.com, and Brian Founan, contributor to redstate.com. Brian, who's responsible for the misinformation?
Look, I'd say there's misinformation on both sides. And first, with respect to that poll that you just cited, I think one thing to realize is that you're asking the American people what they think will happen, not what's in the bills right now. But beyond that, like I said, I think both sides are at fault here. You know, we have the president going around saying he's never endorsed single-payer health care when he did in 2003.
Brian, you would agree that not all news organizations, conservative, progressive, middle of the road, are even. I mean, here's the NBC poll, and they separated out Fox News viewers from MSNBC CNN viewers. Healthcare for illegal immigrants, 72% of Fox viewers believe it'll be there, only 41% for the rest of us. Will it lead to a government takeover? 79%. Tax dollars for abortion, 69%. Does the bill include government decisions about elderly care? 75% of Fox viewers believe it does. You know there's nothing like that in the bill. How come 3 out of 4 viewers of Fox do not know that?
Well, David, I'm listening to the way you described the poll, and the poll said, will it lead to? Now, there are members of Congress who are promising, Zoe Lofgren among them, that there will be abortion coverage in the health care bill. If you ask the American people what they think will happen, that's a different question. I mean, if you ask me whether I want the government involved in Medicare, I know that Medicare is a government program, but I sure wouldn't know how to answer the question.
Well, Sam, it's awfully difficult to have a discussion when people are discussing what might happen, what will happen. Will we be billionaires tomorrow? We could be, but are we going to be billionaires? Reality is something a bit different. It's hard having that conversation when people think things that are, when they're scared by the shadows, isn't it?
Sure, David, and that's a good point. And Brian is right that perhaps these poll questions are confusing. But the reality is that many people on the right have decided to choose political calculation over political courage. It's not surprising that people like Rush Limbaugh are comparing, say, Obama to Hitler. Well, it is surprising, but it's not surprising to hear from people on the fringe like Rush. What is surprising is that few people in the Senate who are conservatives are willing to stand up for truth and stand up against the fringe when these lies are put out there.
Speaking of lies, Michelle Bachmann, Republican from Minnesota, says that the government involvement in health care is unconstitutional. Brian, do you agree with that?
I hadn't heard the quote. I don't think I'd say that government involvement in health care is unconstitutional. But look,
so we can agree she's wrong.
If that's all that there is to the quote, I have to say I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But you know, like I said, if you're talking about who's misleading, the president is misrepresenting his previous stances on single-payer health care. The president is talking about a deficit-neutral
bill. How so?
Bill.
How is he misrepresenting his previous stances? I've heard him acknowledge, he said that if he were starting from scratch, he would start with single-payer, but given the current system, he believes that the public option is the way to go and to protect the private health insurance market. What have you heard?
In 2003, before the SEIU, in his speech, he said, I, for one, believe in a single-payer health care system. Elsewhere,
and he went on to say if he was starting the system from scratch.
I don't believe he said that. But I would say that apart from that, he has also said, as many liberals who support the health care plan have said, that he thinks that this eventually will lead over time to a single-payer health care system. Now, if people are confused, the president needs to go back and address his own commentary.
Sam, you get the last word.
You know, this is a complicated issue, and I hope we can have our politicians speak a little bit more clearly, as the president did today, and try to make sense of this. Right now, it seems like the American people are both confused and, unfortunately, being a bit fooled.
Sam Jacobs and Brian Founan, we appreciate you both very much. And, you know, I would suggest, Monica, that if people are really concerned about a government takeover or government-run health care, then Republicans should stand up and say it's time to get rid of Medicare, it's time to get rid of Social Security, it's time to get rid of the Veterans Administration, because all those are run by the government.